Hi, I'm Eric. I am one of the owners of Pitchfork Farm. I've been down there since 2006. I started when I was 22. I was out sort of on a 1 acre, like modest parcel on the outskirts of the Intervale. And, you know, I don't really have like one big story, one long story to tell you. I want to share with you a story of my time down there, the last 13 years, and sort of some of the lessons I've learned over the years. Not like the technical farmy stuff like ProTech and Remay or indeterminate versus determinate tomatoes, silver mulch and black plastic. That stuff's boring. I want to talk about Intervale stuff, I think, things that you guys would be interested in, stuff everyone should know. If you don't eat anything all day and all you eat is the free popcorn at Ace Hardware, that's okay. Stuff like that, like the stop sign on the way down the Intervale, that's mostly a suggestion, I think. It's pronounced Charlie Boys, all right? The Intervale, it's, among other things, it's a collection of farms. It's many things, but it's a collection of farms, and it's from the farmers I've learned a lot. Dylan at Diggers, he showed me that if you want fall carrots, you got to start them in mid-July. If you go into August, they're not going to develop. Half Pint Farm, Mara and Spencer, they showed me that the more spectacularly beautiful your farm stand is, the better your sales will be at the farmer's market. Thomas Case from Arethusa, he showed me that I'll never, ever grow a beard as glorious as he can. My dog, he showed me that if he kills and eats a groundhog, I don't have to feed him for 4 days. The goddamn deer taught me about electric fencing. The Intervale is a floodplain, we know that, and I learned quickly. I think that first year in May before Memorial Day, we had a flood. I think the river hit 16 feet. I looked it up. It hit 16 feet, and I borrowed a canoe from Tom, actually, and I was paddling around, gathering up, ironically, boxes of irrigation equipment that were floating away, and paddling through fields and trees where, just the day before had been peas and chard and lettuce. It was a pain in the ass. But, after the flood comes the mosquitoes. And, but you pick your head up and you pivot. And I learned to make sales, and I started with restaurants, and I love restaurants. And as my business has grown over the years, so have the restaurants I've worked with, Flatbread, Skinny Pancake, the Farmhouse Group, these institutions. And I worked with restaurants that have gone. Lamonte and Ice House and Smoke Jacks. I've seen the inside of every kitchen in this town, I can tell you. And I've made lifelong friends with chefs and buyers. And some of the lessons I've learned, as a general rule, the smaller the vegetable, the better price you get. If you can, you always say yes to a chef in a bind. If they need salad greens at 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, you can do it, you do it. It never, ever, ever gets old seeing your name on the chalkboard and the menus of the restaurants and grocery stores you work with. And I'll never forget the first time that happened to me. I was a skinny, muddy kid. I wandered down into the basement at Smoke Jacks. It was the first time I met all of our good friends, Frank Pace. He was the chef there at the time, and I wandered down to make a sales pitch. I was bringing what we call a toy box. It's a box of mixed vegetables, stuff that's ready at the time. And I think I brought him like purple peppers and little Asian eggplants and tiny artichokes. What else? Zephyr's summer squash, and he freaked out. It was amazing. He kicked me out of the kitchen, which was actually okay. He sent me back to the farm and told me to bring him back a couple cases of everything, and it was amazing. He ran a special that night with all that stuff, and I'll never forget it. It was just an incredible act of encouragement, and we've been partners in food ever since. What else have I learned? It's better to have the crop and not the sale than to have the sale without the crop. Early on, I forget which season it was. It was very early though. We grew 1,200 habanero plants, an insane amount of hot peppers. And that September, as they all ripened and obviously the deer weren't eating them, I scrambled. I had to find a home for them, and I called around and I found a hot sauce company in South Burlington. They had a co-pack facility, and I got on the horn and the guy answered the phone. I said, "Hi, I'm Eric from Pitchfork Farm. I grew all these hot peppers. Do you have any need for, I grew a ton of them." And the guy's like, "Let me think. A ton, huh? Yeah, we could take 2,000 pounds." I was like, "Okay, wait. Back it up. Okay. I think I sold him 400 or 500 pounds. But the next year we sold him, I think, a ton of hot peppers. And then 2011, I learned that when it rains, it pours. That was a hard year, I think. It was a snowy winter, a lot of snow in the mountains, and then a cold, wet spring punctuated by a lot of rain. And you guys may all remember, but the lake couldn't take anymore. And the water sat pooled in our fields for a long time. I don't think we were actually able to do anything till mid-June. And then in July, my dog of a long time, and actually the farm's namesake, he died suddenly, and we buried him under a tree right next to the field, and where he's eternally scaring away deer and feral cats. And then late August was Irene. The river hit 23 feet. Jumped the banks, came roaring into our fields, and if you said, "Hey Eric, here's a calendar, point at a date. What's the worst date for a catastrophic flood?" I think August 28th would be it. We got summer crops in full bloom, and then fall crops in their early stages of development, all just washed away or rendered unsellable. I think that was a low point for all of us, but we persevered, clearly. And in that, I learned that pigs are not my spirit animal. They are smelly assholes, jerks, strong-head jerks. They will scatter like kids from a high school party, but the cops have just arrived at. They just take off. I learned that nettle stings in your armpit will last for weeks. That a car battery, I think, fetches a thief $5. And that 20 questions with your coworkers never, ever, ever gets old. I learned that farms come and go. People and farms, they come and go. Open Heart Farm, Striker Farm, Samara Farm, Bessie Field Eggs, Fat Mitchell's Pumpkin Patch, Full Moon Farm, Adams Berries, Needy Farm, Intervale Bean and Grain. It's unbelievable. All these people that I've known that have come and gone, and all these fine people I've had the immense pleasure to know, to work with, to learn from. I've learned. What else have I learned? Molly, what's after? Oh yeah. Thank you. I've learned. Thank you, my wife. I've learned that in this life, it's really, really important to have people on your side, people guiding you, people like Mandy, like Travis, like Bobby, like Sona, guiding you and pushing you, rooting for you. I've learned that an appendectomy in July is a setback. I've learned that there's big fish in the Winooski, and fishing for them at the end of the day is a great way to end a rough week. And I've learned that geniuses walk amongst us, and having one as a business partner is helpful. Speaking of geniuses, I've learned that nothing burns like a wax box except a large pile of them. And on a related note, that springtime grass fires are possible, and that the Burlington Fire Department can carry their own water in fire trucks. So that's good to know. I've learned that the the best place in the world, I think, to watch the sunset is the picnic table next to my field with a cold beer and your coworkers on a Friday, laughing about the week. Sorry, I got a little dry mouth here. And I've learned that, I've learned what the Intervale means to the city. That the sum of the Intervale is greater than its parts. It's not just the farms or the tree nursery. It's not the river or the paths, the cross-country skiing, the food hub, or CSA pickup or any of that. I mean, it is those, but it's more. And you see it in the people, in the poet farmers from the Iowa Writers Workshop, or the DJs with the insane Prince vinyl collection who moonlight as the food hub director, or the entrepreneurial immigrants and the conservationist mechanics and the foodies with the dog to walk. I'm 35 now, and in the last 13 years, I've learned that if Church Street is sort of the beating heart, I guess, of Burlington, then the Intervale is its soul, right? It's like the ideals and the values of its people sort of wrought into form, a form you can see and hear and touch and taste. And tomorrow at 7:30, I'll be back at the farm, and I can't wait to see what it has to teach me. So, thanks.